Welcome to week 2 of the math map. And I will say week 2 was much easier than week 1. So we were a little behind from last week, week 1. And so we spilled over on our first day. It was really easy and quick though. After reading A Place for Zero, the book I showed you in my other video, my daughter asked, how do you play Add 'em Up? And so we used that as a segue into playing the game at the end of week 1, Number Knockout. We each rolled a die and added them up to knock out as many numbers as we could in 2 minutes. I gave us 2 minutes instead of 1 minute because we're slow. So technically we finished week 1 at the beginning of week 2. After we played our game, we officially began week 2. We set up our timer for 8 minutes for the flashcards. Since we are doing the addition flashcards with 0 and the multiplication cards with 0, I decided to review and recite last week's grammar first. Adding and subtracting 0. The sum of anything and 0 does not change the number. So we reviewed the sum of anything and 0 does not change the number. And we also reviewed multiplying and dividing by 0. The product of anything and 0 equals 0. And so we had fun reciting that. After we recited that grammar, we did our flashcards. We drilled the addition cards plus 0 and the multiplication cards times 0. Then I asked them, why do we recite the facts on our cards both ways? Why do we say both 15 plus 0 and 0 plus 15 to equal the same sum? The answer, the commutative law. So what does the commutative law for addition state? And then we recited the commutative law for addition states A plus B equals B plus A. We also recited the commutative law for multiplication, which states A times B equals B times A. So we reviewed that for our flashcard time. Then we looked at the art on the cover page for 5 minutes. Then we named and attended to what we saw in the art on the cover. After discussing the art, I read 2 sentences from the essay. First, I read, numbers are bound by rules. Then I asked, do we have rules at our house? Use manners, be respectful, be kind. Are there rules outside our house that we have to follow? Yes, speed limits, don't play in the street, etc. Did you know that numbers are also bound by rules? Numbers have to follow rules too. What is one rule or law you already know that numbers have to follow? Here's a hint. We just reviewed one of the laws before flashcards. The commutative law. So now we look at the art again. The artwork on this cover was created by Pointilism, which is making dots instead of strokes with your brush. So then I read the second sentence from the essay. The artwork on this cover was created by Pointilism, emphasizing the importance of every single dot, point, of color. So we looked at the art again, this time paying special attention to the points in Pointilism. After we finished the art, we glanced at the Invention page and identified things we knew, which at this point was basically shapes, squares, rectangles, ovals, circles. Then we looked at the Memoria and arrangement pages to identify things we already knew as well, which at this point was identifying numbers we recognized. My 4-year-old loved pointing to the numbers in the boxes and saying them. We did not spend more than a minute on each of these pages. Next, we turned to page 1, which looks like this. We have the definition of a point. Yay! So we recited the definition of a point again. What's the definition of a point? A point is that which has no length, no width, no height. And a point is represented by a dot. We know that. After we traced the definition of a point, we arrived at new grammar words for us. Digits, naturals, and integers. So since this is our first time through the math map, we wanted to take a moment to learn what are digits, what are naturals, And what are integers? So we wrote songs. First, we wrote and sang the domain song. For the first 3 domains, digits, naturals, and integers. That song can be found here. After that, we wrote a song specifically for digits. That song can be found here. Then we wrote a song for naturals. That song can be found here. These songs became the central theme for our week 2. On pages 1, 5, 9, and 13, we sang these songs as we traced the Euler diagram. And you know what? That was the extent of our new grammar this week, since this was our first tour. We did as much tracing each day as we could, but we set our visual timer, and when the timer flashed, we finished the line we were on, and then we stopped for recess and snack. We did not trace every item on every page this week, and that's okay. I have a feeling that once we get the hang of the math map, we will be able to trace faster. And since we are on our first tour, we are going slower because we are doing the pages together. Everyone is working on their page 1 together, then on their page 2 together, and so on. The math map was designed for independent math study, so eventually we will assign pages 1 through 4 on day 1, and the kids will do that. But while we're getting used to it, I wanted to do it together. By the end of this week, we did our calculations page together. It was so rewarding to see my 4-year-old mark tallies. She identified the patterns and was able to do it. My 8-year-old enjoyed discussing Roman numerals and opposites. She identified the patterns of the Roman numerals. This week was her first formal training in Roman numerals. She first saw them while we read Black Beauty, which uses Roman numerals for the chapter notation. We did not play this week's game as we ran out of time. And again, that's okay. We had fun writing and learning our songs this year. Next year, they will know those songs already, and we have time for more on our second tour. So our gospel connection to week 2 is Job 5:9, which you are prompted to read on page 13. Verse 9 says, "He performs wonders that cannot be fathomed, miracles that cannot be counted." So did you know that God performs so many miracles, it is impossible to be done counting them? Just like our natural numbers, when we count, we add 1, but you'll never, ever, ever be done. Isn't it wonderful to think about how many miracles God performs in our lives and in the whole line of time? And that wraps us up for week 2. I hope and pray you're having fun learning with us. Please like and subscribe if you want more Math Map videos. Thank you for watching and have fun learning.